I think it should be welcome because it will reduce tensions in the region between these two regional rivals. Saudi Arabia has a strategic interest to reduce tensions with Iran, first. And second, if it all goes to plan, to normalize relations with Iran. And third, to focus on internal developments in Saudi Arabia, the Vision 2030, because that is the key strategic, one of the key strategic priorities actually for the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. You can't, focus on internal developments and making sure that Vision 2030 is is implemented according to plan if you have tensions with your key regional rival. Now, strategic calculations for Iran also important. As you know, Iran has been dealing with probably the most serious internal domestic protest since the establishment of the Islamic Republic, and this is an important issue for the Iranian government. And what they do with this deal is that they want to reduce tensions with Iran, so that also Iran will not, reduce its support for the protest movement, particularly its support for Iran International. That is one of the calculations of Iran. But also, more importantly, is hopefully also through their restoration of ties with Saudi Arabia, that they will drive Saudi Arabia away from the current wave of rapprochement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, UAE. At least for me, unexpected that China will play this important geopolitical role in the region. Obviously, to bring its two most economic partners to restore ties. That's also in the China interest in the region to show US, but also West in general, that actually China, is a geopolitical player in the region. To me, the key area where we should judge to what extent this deal will make a difference is first and foremost Yemen. If it would lead to the end of all war in Yemen, that's a great news for the people in Yemen because they have suffered a lot. And I think it should be welcome because it will reduce tensions in the region between these two regional rivals. And if that would lead to, let's say, a settlement in Yemen, I think that is definitely something to be welcomed. The deal has a potential to be a building block for some sort of a new regional security architecture or system. But for that to happen, the deal needs first to be implemented, and both countries need to show that they are willing to improve relations and also to engage in serious discussions, diplomatic, political, security discussions. For the time being, I think it's an important achievement. China, managed to bring these regional rivals closer to each other. Saudi investment in Iran. I mean, it may sound at this stage as a fantasy, but the Saudi, finance minister said, if the deal is implemented and would go according to plan, Saudi Arabia would be ready and willing to invest in Iran.
Yes, so he said, but how about the sanctions? How about the international sanction? Yeah. International sanction is not an obstacle for that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you're right. International sanctions, it has to do with EU, it has to do with US, and some other world powers. So in that case, we'll see if Saudi Arabia will, be willing to play, let's say, a positive role from the Iranian perspective, to at least not to be in the camp that is against Iran, but also whether whether Saudi Arabia would be willing to, to use its influence to reduce the impact of the sanctions. It remains to be seen whether this will happen. I mean, we don't know yet.